Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. We're here in Paris at the MPLS and SDN World Congress. My name is Martin Warwick and I'm talking with Jim Scott, who is the VP EMEA, that's EMEA with an R, Europe, Middle East, Africa and Russia, SP Architectures with Cisco. Jim, welcome. Thanks for giving us the time. Before we start, to let the viewers know where we are, France is the home of cinema, Paris is the beginning of film industry. We're in a cinema. That's why we've got this here, and it's different, isn't it?
Only in Paris.
Exactly. Anyway, let's cut to the chase. SDN and NFV are as much about business transformation as network transformation. What do you think the service providers need to do from a business transformation perspective to ensure that they can take full advantage of these new technologies?
So I think service providers have evolved over the last 100 years. They started as very voice-centric. For the last 20, 30 years, it has been a very data-centric world. But as we move forward, it's going to be in an application-centric world. And what they really need to do from a business perspective is take forward the value that SDN and NFV can bring to them in terms of how they compete with new competitors, how they compete with the over-the-top providers, such that with legacy networks where they have multiple different silos which provide very, very good benefits for the customers, in the new world where it's very application and cloud centric, they need to take the business decisions to do that now.
Okay, you've touched on some of the evident challenges. I'd like you to embroider on that a bit more if you would. What do you think the biggest challenges are facing service providers in the market today? And I'm talking about the technologies and the applications of those technologies.
I don't think the challenges per se are technology challenges. I actually think it's really more about the first question, or it's the business challenge. It's how do I fundamentally change my organization? These in the main are quite large organizations, quite siloed, multiple different OSS, multiple different billing systems, and it's how I change that world and all those different hierarchies, be they in the network space, be they in the data center space, from siloed, networked into a platform to deploy new services at speed. And the business challenge around that is huge. You're talking a lot of people, you're talking a lot of different skills, you're talking about bringing the IT world and the network world together. The ones who do that quickly, at speed, using innovation, be it possibly trying a greenfield approach, will see success, will potentially make in the market transition, market share gains. Equally, there is a huge amount of brownfield out there, huge scalable country global networks, and moving that is really tough. It isn't necessarily a technology challenge. It is more about from a business perspective, how do I develop services that there is value to the customers from in that new way.
And of course that change, given that we're talking about telcos here in the main, is the fact that they're big, as you say, and they're very often not necessarily stuck in the past, but the processes, the organisational structure and psychology is such that they don't like change very much, and there's going to be a massive change coming.
Sure. No, it's very, very true. Our business is very network centric. We are very aligned with the success of the service providers. It's absolutely true. They have huge scalable networks, countries and, for the global service providers, even bigger, which are providing, very, very good services. They are governed by a lot of regulation, be that country or, even broader. And to move from there to where they can deploy platform-based network services, which are application engineering centric, is a really tough challenge. But if they don't do it, they're going to become a commodity bit pipe player. All the value is going to be in the layers above that, which a lot of the OTT players are getting. Our job together is to move that in a way that's cost optimized as much as possible. Obviously still deploy the services that the customers need today, but if they don't deploy new services, innovative new services at speed, it's going to be a very challenging space over the next 5 years.
Great answer. My next question is, given the enormity of these challenges and the cost and the time it's going to take, etc., and how much it's going to shake to the foundation of some of these organisations, why is it worth it?
Because the alternative is not a very good place to be.
The alternative is worse.
The alternative is without a shadow of a doubt. I'm not saying that there isn't, or we're not saying there isn't a space for a cost-optimised utility platforms. There absolutely is, and it is a good business. But there is a huge opportunity here, enabled by technology, to make a paradigm shift so that they can compete with the application-centric, with the over-the-top providers who are disintermediating the networks. If they can make that shift, the upside for them is absolutely huge. And it's something that is really, really exciting. The challenge is the when, and they really, really need to think about doing it now. Because if they don't, the challenge of them going more to the bit pipe play is huge.
What we have seen also as a result of the cloud transformation of the network, new technologies, is the fact that the new ecosystem has emerged in which former rivals, competitors and sometimes deadly enemies are now working and collaborating together. What does that mean for you at Cisco?
It means, and it goes back to my point about Cisco, our strategy is the network, and service providers, for us to be successful, have to be successful. It is not something we can do alone. We would love to, but it's just, there is no reality behind that at all. It has to be open. It has to be multi-vendor. And if you want to do it really quick, at speed, that is the only way it will happen. So this is not a closed environment at all. It has to be completely open.
This is the MPLS as well as SDN World Congress, so I'd like to ask you a question about multi-protocol label switching. You know and I know it's been around a while. I remember writing about it donkeys years ago. It's not a new technology. In fact, it's fairly elderly, venerable, but it's still applicable, mainly because I understand, Jim, that it is programmable in itself. Sure. So what do you make of MPLS, and how is MPLS being used in the context of SDN?
So Cisco have always been huge fans of MPLS, and equally venerate it, as much as you do. It's not going away. What I would say is it's going to evolve. I think, and they're talking about it at the conference here for the last few days or for this week. What you're going to see is on top of MPLS, you're going to see segment routing. You're going to see application engineered routing, which will, enable MPLS to move the network to an application engineered network rather than, the traditional MPLS network. That will enable the deployment of new services far, far quicker.
Very interesting. Jim Scott, thank you.
Thank you very much.